You would think the greatest regrets rich people have relate to some great business opportunity they passed on, like investing in Uber or buying Bitcoin when it was really cheap. But you'd be wrong. We spend a lot of time around high net worth individuals and a lot more time trying not to make the same mistakes they've made. The truth is, money only solves money problems, and by the time you manage to rid yourself of money problems, it might be too late. But not for those of you watching this video until the very end. So get ready for wealth and don't make the same mistakes they do. Here are 15 regrets rich people have.
Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired.
Number 1. Their degree and not starting sooner. Believe it or not, most rich people look at their college years as a waste of time. The only 2 exceptions that we've found are people who either made a really good friend that's still around today, or they met their co-founder on campus. But in both cases, rich people say you could get the same outcome by going to interest-oriented events. One of the biggest regrets rich people have is not starting sooner. Not only do they think they would have achieved rich status sooner, but because the competition wasn't as fierce in the early days, they would have had a massive competitive advantage which would have allowed them to get there in half the time. If you're young, a teenager, or in your 20s, start now. You know that thing you've got buzzing around the back of your mind not going away? Do that. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best is today. Number 2. Neglected family. The second biggest regret is trading time with their family for an extra couple of bucks. One of the biggest misconceptions rich people realize they have is the belief that their kids and partners need comfort, good schools, gifts, and more assets in the family name. It's true until you hit a certain threshold, and that depends on where you live in the world. But beyond this threshold, kids would rather have time with you. Your partner would rather walk through the park with you instead of a new Cartier bracelet. Don't be the kind of person that just visits their family when they're taking short breaks from work. Number 3. Not living in the present. Rich people constantly live in the future. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because living in the future gives you the power to drag it into the present. It gives you a North Star to go after. But the problem with living in the future is best put by the Buddhists. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until the desire is fulfilled. Your mind is constantly thinking about what else you could do, and as rich people have learned the hard way, and so did John Lennon, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Find happiness in the present. You can be unsatisfied but still grateful for everything you've achieved. Take some time to smell the roses. Number 4. Leaving all your friends behind and feeling lonely. A big part of the wealth journey is that sometimes you have to leave those holding you back behind. Here at Alux, we've got a saying: if it's lonely at the top, it's because you haven't brought enough people with you. But we do understand that sometimes you're the only one willing and with the desire to climb that mountain, and that's true more often than not. Honestly, the road to wealth is pretty awesome. You know people, you have employees and partners, you build a network, but all of this serves as a means to an end. It's very hard to make new, genuine, and deep friendships when you're working all the freaking time. Owning a private island is pretty cool until you realize it sucks being the only one on the island. And you might be thinking, just let me get the island and then people will come. Well, if they're only coming for the island, then they're actually not there for you, which causes you to feel lonely even among people, and that might even be worse. Some of you know this feeling incredibly well. Number 5. Not having the right coach or mentor early enough. If you're gonna go somewhere you've never been before, the absolute most powerful thing to have is someone who has been there. Not only do they know the way, they know what's waiting ahead, what traps to avoid, and what shortcuts to take. A great mentor or coach will save you half the time and half the money spent to get there. Every high performer has a coach or a methodology to focus your efforts for maximum output. Ask anyone who's actually rich and they'll tell you the same things. Their mentors made one hell of a difference in their trajectory. Your life is progressing slowly because you don't have a mentor and a framework for you to make progress faster. At this pace, you might get to where you're going eventually, but it will take you a lot more time than you think. Not having a mentor is crippling you, and we want to do something about it, so we built the Alux app. Your mentor or high-performance coach right in your pocket. It'll literally give you the answers you're looking for. Go to Alux.com/app right now and try it out for free. Almost 100,000 people have downloaded the app, and the reviews are incredible. That big goal you've got for yourself is attainable with the Alux app, but you have to commit 10 minutes every day. Go to Alux.com/app right now. Number 6. They got defined by what they do. Here's the deal about being good at something. You want to keep doing that thing. We're wired this way. We love praise. So much so, it's a perpetuating spiral trap. The more you do something, the better you are at it, the more praise you get, and because you want more praise, you keep doing it more and more, and so on. But before you realize it, in the eyes of everyone else, you have become what you do. He's a web designer. She's a baker. They're the plant guys. Your entire identity becomes siloed. Whenever you want to try something, people will look at you weirdly and advise you against it. Kanye is a great example of someone who was told to stick to making beats. The price of getting good at anything is being awful at it in the beginning. But because you have a reputation and you love the praise so much, being awful doesn't come easy, so people tend to avoid it. That's how you get multi-millionaire accountants, lawyers, or doctors who secretly wanted to write books, play guitar, or be stand-up comedians. Because of their position, they can't afford to exit their identities because, in their eyes, the world would think less of them. Number 7. Unable to communicate feelings. As most of you know by now, money is a numbers game, and money doesn't care about your feelings. Money is unemotional by definition. It's transactional. The reasons for the transaction might have emotions tied to it, but the money in and of itself is not. To understand money, you need to put emotion aside. Poor people can't do it because for poor people, money is always emotional. The moment you remove emotion from money, it becomes just numbers on a screen, and that is when you finally get rich. But in the process of doing so, you shut yourself off. Your mind adjusts to this new reality and you begin to think about things from a cause and effect perspective. If this, then that. And based on the input, you can predict with a high degree of certainty the output. This is very effective in business, but it backfires socially. Rich people regret not being able to show their emotions more, to tell others how they really feel. Believe it or not, we've met people worth hundreds of millions of dollars who still cannot get over the fact that they never told their childhood crush how they felt at the time. Some of you believe your partner knows you love them, but how can they be certain if you never tell them? Be more open. Tell your spouse you love them. Tell your children you're grateful to be their parent, and tell your employees you're proud of them. Trust us, it will help out tremendously. And speaking of the childhood crush, number 8, not being more confident when they were young. One of the biggest regrets is allowing others to take advantage of them when they were young. Most rich people aren't the popular kids in school, they're kinda different. The masses don't care about the future the way that they do, so sometimes future billionaires get marginalized because they don't fit in right. You make friends, but as Too Hot to Handle says, you don't really form meaningful connections. Confidence comes from the ability to be unapologetically yourself and be accepted and appreciated for who you are. Most of us learn this later in life, but the scars of those early years never really go away for some. Because confidence is so rare, those who possess it have an unfair advantage. If life is a video game, then self-confidence is a cheat code. Number 9. Buying too much meaningless stuff that's cluttering your life. In one of our conversations with Mark Manson, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, he told us that as soon as the money hit, he started buying all the dumb things he could. It's a way of filling up the holes in your identity with stuff you couldn't afford before. But you soon realize you didn't actually need or even want all that stuff, that you were simply looking to fill an internal hole with external things, and that just doesn't work. Not to mention that now you have all this stuff, it requires maintenance and effort. Having a 10-car garage sounds great until all of those cars need an oil change. Having properties around the world is cool until your house in Japan gets broken into. When you have money, it doesn't take long to realize that the things you own end up owning you. Number 10. They were miserable in the process of getting rich. Getting really rich isn't easy. Actually, it's incredibly hard. That's why so few people manage to pull it off. While some of them manage to do it with some elegance, others will put their heads down, lock themselves in a room, and grind it out until they get what they want. We've been both of these people at some point. One of them is harder than the other. The grind is hard, especially when you don't know what you're doing. It's exhausting, almost dehumanizing. And then something clicks. You build momentum. You get smarter. You're around smarter people who point out things that were just in front of you. It's easy to get buried underneath all of that. Smart, rich people realize they need to balance emotional, intellectual, and relationship health while still maintaining financial success as a priority. A few years ago, we made a breakthrough when, after traveling for almost 1 year to meet with different priests, shamans, and spiritual leaders, we took those teachings and molded them to serve our life goals. The result is called Mind Mastery. It's the only meditation course specifically designed for entrepreneurs, and it's available at Alux.com/meditation. Use the promo code ALUXER and you'll get 25% off at checkout as a gift for subscribing to Alux and watching this Sunday motivational video. That's Alux.com/meditation. Number 11. Thinking they can buy health later. Your body is changing, and that's not just some lame middle school PSA, it's actually true. You can get in good shape at any point in time, but it will be good shape for your age. Being fit in your 20s is a completely different experience than being fit in your 40s. If money is a flex in your 20s, fitness is a flex after 40. And look, you can tweet that, but make sure to tag us at Alux.com. The goal is to be able to enjoy life for as long as possible, but it's hard to tell the hungry to eat in moderation. One of the biggest regrets rich people have is realizing too late how far they've let themselves go. For most of them, it would have been a lot easier, and cheaper for that matter, to address it earlier before things got more complicated. Number 12. They became entitled, disconnected, and lose their drive. Be rich long enough, and you start to forget what life was before. Hunger is a very powerful motivator. A hungry lion is the most dangerous predator, and so are you. You know the feeling, going after it day in, day out just to put some food on the table. Once you take a bite, you never let go. All of a sudden, there's some extra food and your fridge starts to fill up. Knowing you don't have to hunt, you become lethargic, you get comfortable, you get fat, your fitness drops, and before you know it, other lions have mastered hunting as well. At this point, you have a massive wake-up call when you realize you need to ration what food you have left because there's no way you can compete with the young ones. You don't realize you had your moment until it passed. For some of you, this moment is ahead of you, and regretfully, for some, it's behind you. Number 13, getting involved with the wrong people. Malicious co-founders, partners, politicians, tempting affairs. It's easy to stain your reputation through association. People want what you have, and in your pursuit of money, they will leverage that desire for personal gain. This is one of the reasons why the rich, generally, or at least until recent years, stood away from politics and the public eye. Now everybody wants fame. But the problem with putting the spotlight on yourself is you can no longer turn it off. It will always be there, and you will always be in the public eye. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that we would rather be rich and anonymous than poor and famous. Number 14, hedonic treadmill and lifestyle necessities. Look, we get it, okay? You want to be rich so you can buy a nice house with a pool, but you see, the pool needs regular cleaning. In order for you to maintain that pool, you need to keep working. All of a sudden you realize you go to work in order to pay for the pool boy, the housekeeper, the horse trainer, the piano teacher, and everyone else. Your lifestyle requires you to keep on moving the same way the mako shark can't stop swimming or it will die. For those of you who read Alice in Wonderland, you might be familiar with this concept as the Red Queen's race, when you need to run as fast as you can just to stay in one place. Number 15, selling their company too soon. This is a personal dilemma we've had to deal with ourselves. A big fund approached us a few months ago to acquire Alux for an 8-figure amount. And look, we're not going to lie, the figure seemed appealing, as liquid money just ahead of an upcoming recession would be well received. That's the thing about money. Our life has already been changed. More of it is just something nice to have, but not a necessity. So we asked ourselves, what would we do with that money? What do we really want to do in the next decade? Well, the answer was to educate people at scale, to give people access to financial education, to build a technological product that has a real impact in people's lives, to be an element of change in parts of the world that need help. So the more that we thought about it, the more we realized that we would be building something like Alux all over again, so why go through all that hassle? So we politely declined. From our perspective, Alux is still at the beginning of its journey, and we love building. Alux is on track to be worth in excess of $100 million in the next 5 years, and we're not stopping until we join that 3 comma club. And for us to get there, we have to make you rich. When you're rich, you're able to help us out with our growth. You guys are loving the app, and we're making it better and better by the day. If we were to sell right now, not only would we make less money, but we would always think about what we could have achieved if we did run the experiment until the very end. Also, a fund would rip our brand to shreds and milk it dry for all it's worth before selling it off again and again. We really believe there's nobody out there who could execute this product the way we envision it. We would rather go public or tokenize it and sell it to you guys rather than just have it be a project in a portfolio. This final point includes the bonus as well. If you believe in our mission of educating 1 billion people, please support us in any way you can. Buy our courses, subscribe to our app, or simply share the videos like this one with your friends. We've got a long road ahead of us, Aluxers, and we would rather walk it with you than pursue the interests of another media fund. If you're willing to walk alongside us, write the word journey in the comments. We can't wait to see how many people are going on this journey with us.
Hey, Aluxers. If you're smart, which I know you are, you're going to download that Alux app. It's the only performance app specifically designed for entrepreneurs. It's quite literally a game changer. There's never been an app like the Alux app before. Make more money, get more done, be less stressed, and find happiness. Ha! That's right. Be an early adopter for the Alux app. But don't take my word for it. Download it today and see for yourself. Go to Alux.com/app right now, or search for it in the App Store. Now, go get that app or watch another video. Take care, my friend.